This chart shows the exact moment a growing business begins to fail. As the line for headcount and revenue climbs steadily upward, the line tracking decision speed and margin control plummets. More people are doing more work, but the company is actually getting slower and less profitable. In its earliest days, a small business has a structural advantage that large corporations spend millions trying to recreate. Market information comes in, the founder applies their judgment, and action happens immediately. It is a tight, high-speed loop. But as transaction volume grows, that loop starts to crack under the weight of informal communication. You add more clients, more staff, and more moving parts, relying on the same conversational habits that worked when you were a team of 5. Look at this node map. A cluster of 5 people reacts instantly to a market signal. But scale that to 30 people without changing the underlying architecture, and the connection lines tangle and cross over. Information stops. People wait. Work stalls. Founders usually react to this friction by falling into one of 2 extremes. The first is tolerating loose management to preserve a friendly culture. Important deadlines slide. Cash leaks through unchased invoices and unchecked discounts. The business looks energetic from the outside, but inside it is chaotic. The second extreme is overcorrection. Frightened by the disorder, the owner imports thick policy manuals, long approval chains, and formal committees. They destroy the natural momentum of the business in an attempt to buy safety. Adding traditional management layers to a broken communication loop does not fix the company. It only changes how the company fails. Instead of failing through hesitation and dead time, the alternative is a concept called lean control. It is a precise structural upgrade. It reduces confusion and delay without adding administrative weight. To achieve actual scale, the founder must stop relying on personal instinct to govern daily work. They have to build an engineered framework that dictates exactly who has the authority to make specific decisions. Structure is not the enemy of entrepreneurial speed. When designed correctly, a proportionate, exact structure is the exact mechanism that protects a company's agility as it expands. Before any formal processes are written, the founder serves as the literal operating system of the company. Early employees figure out how the business works by watching what the founder notices, what they ignore, and what they directly reward. The founder's daily habits become the unwritten rules of the firm. At a micro scale, this centralized processing works perfectly. All information and decisions flow through one highly aligned mind that can process context and make rapid judgment calls. This visualization shows that system at peak capacity. Incoming signals are rapidly absorbed by the central core, which immediately fires back perfectly organized energy. The limitation is that human memory and emotional bandwidth are biological traits. They are not scalable architectural systems. As the company grows, the daily inputs multiply. Handling client complaints, processing supplier invoices, checking discount approvals, and hiring questions all demand attention at the exact same time. The biological processor gets overwhelmed. This is the moment the centralized system begins to fail. The central node receives a massive influx of data. It turns red, vibrates under the strain, and the output lines slow to a crawl. You can observe the symptoms of this bottleneck in daily operations. Decisions are delayed. Execution quality drops. The company slips into a constant state of firefighting. Leadership pays a severe physical toll for this setup. The founder experiences deep exhaustion because they have engineered a system where they are the sole point of operational failure. Unresolved decisions pile up into a stagnant backlog. The node rejects incoming data because the founder refuses to delegate the final judgment on these issues. When a founder insists on processing everything personally, they stop being the engine of the company and become its primary obstacle. A firm cannot physically outgrow its founder until the operating logic is extracted from that person's mind and built directly into the external structure of the business. To fix this bottleneck, growing companies often make a severe error. They attempt to import heavy corporate approval chains to regain order. The psychological rationale makes sense at first glance. Founders equate multiple layers of managerial sign-off with safety. They believe more signatures will mitigate risk and increase visibility. But the hidden cost of an approval chain is the massive gap it injects between the awareness of a problem and the action required to solve it. This diagram illustrates an approval chain delay timeline. A standard client proposal moves along a linear path, waiting for sign-off from sales, then finance, and finally the owner. This creates dead time. Work sits idle in queues for hours or days, waiting for the next signature, completely devoid of any commercial value. While the proposal is frozen at each gate, the clock keeps running. The company loses momentum on a routine transaction while it waits for a busy manager to clear their inbox. This exposes a core operational flaw. Shared accountability across a multi-step chain mathematically results in zero actual ownership over the final outcome. This structure inflicts quiet psychological damage on the team. Repeated approvals train capable staff to act defensively. They optimize their work to pass the compliance check rather than to generate the best commercial result. Employees devolve into submitters who pass the buck upward. As a result, the firm loses sharp commercial judgment at the front lines, exactly where it interacts with the market. Internal politics begin to dictate the workflow. Staff learn to navigate the personalities and preferences of the approvers, rather than solving the actual needs of the client. By treating every routine transaction as a high-risk crisis that requires committee review, a small firm voluntarily surrenders its primary competitive advantage against larger rivals. Red tape does not cure a lack of control. It institutionalizes hesitation, masking operational drift behind the illusion of completed paperwork. The mechanical solution to this bottleneck is the engineering of decision rights. A decision right is the explicitly recognized, non-negotiable authority to make a call within a strictly defined boundary. There is a sharp difference between simply processing a task and owning a result. True ownership means holding absolute accountability for the final condition of an outcome, not just checking a box along the way. Look at this grid. This is the architecture of lean control. It maps out 4 exact columns: the role, the scope of authority, the financial threshold, and the escalation trigger. Operational speed requires clear mathematical thresholds. You do not need an exhaustive 20-page policy manual that nobody reads. You need explicit numbers that tell people exactly where their authority ends. Let's focus on a specific application. In this cell, the sales lead is given a strict bounding box. They own the right to approve any discount up to 7%. Setting this specific boundary liberates the employee to execute without hesitation. They know the rule, and the company keeps the financial risk perfectly contained. Watch the speed of routine work under this system. Transactions under the 7% threshold hit the sales lead and immediately bounce back out as completed actions. The business gains massive momentum because these routine tasks require absolutely zero upper management input or cross-departmental alignment. The critical fail-safe is the escalation protocol. When an 8% transaction enters the system, it breaches the boundary. It glows yellow and is automatically routed upward to the founder for a controlled review. This controlled escalation protects the founder's time. They are no longer reviewing daily noise. They only deploy their judgment on true statistical anomalies. This architecture inherently provides proportionate risk management. It aligns the intensity of the control directly with the financial severity of the consequence. Precise boundary design achieves the ultimate operational goal. It delivers absolute, unyielding control over the business without adding a single ounce of administrative friction. By defining exact decision rights, a company successfully builds an operating system that allows its people to move fast safely. The ultimate requirement for scaling a business is that the founder must completely separate their personal identity from the firm's operational method. Compare the tangled, broken communication network of the past with a newly engineered organizational structure. The chaos resolves into distinct, decentralized clusters, each protected by the glowing boundary of their defined decision rights. Trusting this architecture means doing the hard work of converting your private intuition into shared, visible, non-negotiable standards. This is the visual proof of a healthy, scaled system operating under lean control. Green operational data moves rapidly inside the localized boundaries. Only the rare red anomalies travel up a clean, unobstructed path to the central node. The atmosphere of this upgraded system is calm, highly visible, and incredibly fast. It operates this way because confusion has been engineered completely out of the environment. Bureaucracy attempts to control a business by slowing down its people and enforcing rituals. Lean control protects a business by organizing the boundaries of human judgment. It allows speed and accountability to coexist. Proportionate, exact structure does not kill entrepreneurial energy. It is the only mechanism that ensures that energy survives the pressures of scale.